Welcome to Central Happenings Network. I'm your host, Bellagio Sampler. We are going to do an audio reading. As far as I know, the first audio book of this work. And we're going to turn all the music off when the time comes. Give it a clean audiobook reading. I will do commentary in between chapters. Welcome everyone to the show. Brazen Brand, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's get right into it. We'll cut the music. Hop right into the bunker. We are going to be reading the book known as, and this was suggested by SPIES, a new viewer of the channel as far as I know. I thought he recommended that I write this book. I didn't even know this book existed. The book is A Gentleman's Guide to Forum Spies, Spooks, Feds, etc. This book here is going to explain a lot. This is going to be a testament against the shills, the demoralization agents, and you will fully see how they operate. I was blown away by this book, blown away, when I was reading some of it. And again, in between chapters, I will comment on what I think. So sit back, relax, and get comfortable. Corid, how you doing? Maria Fernandez, how are you doing? How's the family? COINTELPRO Techniques for Dilution, Misdirection, and Control of an Internet Forum is Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is 25 Rules of Disinformation. Chapter 3 is 8 traits of the disinformationalist. Chapter 4 is How to Spot a Spy, COINTELPRO Agent. And the final chapter is 17 Techniques for Truth Suppression. You will see how people like DeFango operate, people like Adam Green, two people on opposite ends of the spectrum, many spectrums. But you will be able to see how these people operate. People maybe in your local Telegram group, people in your local Twitter group. This will blow you away, and once you learn their techniques, you will better be able to defend yourself and counter attack the shills in the digital forum. So we're gonna get into it. My warning and preface is this is a live reading. There might be mistakes, but I think you might enjoy this. So Chapter 1, COINTELPRO Techniques for Dilution, Misdirection, and Control of an Internet Forum. And let me know how it sounds good. There are several techniques for control and manipulation of an internet forum no matter what or who is on it. We will go over each technique and demonstrate that only a minimal number of operatives can be used to eventually and effectively gain a control of an uncontrolled forum. Technique number 1. We've all heard of this, forum sliding. If a very sensitive posting of a critical nature has been posted on a forum, it can be quickly removed from public view by forum sliding. In this technique, a number of unrelated posts are quietly pre-positioned on the forum and allowed to age. Each of these misdirectional forum postings can then be called upon at will to trigger a forum slide. The second requirement is that several fake accounts exist, which can be called upon, to ensure that this technique is not exposed to the public. To trigger a forum slide and flush the critical post out of a public view, it is simply a matter of logging into each account, both real and fake, and then replying, quote unquote, to pre-positioned postings with a simple 1 or 2 line comment. This brings the unrelated posting to the top of the forum list, and the critical posting slides down the front page and quickly out of public view. Although it is difficult or impossible to censor the posting, it is now lost in the sea of unrelated and unuseful postings. By this means, it becomes effective to keep the readers of the forum reading unrelated and non-issue items. We've all seen that one. Again, I gotta refrain from commenting. This will be tough until the end of each chapter. Technique 2, consensus cracking. A second highly effective technique, which you can see in operation all the time at abovetopsecret.com, is consensus cracking. To develop a consensus crack, the following technique is used. Under the guise of a fake account, a posting is made which looks legitimate and is towards the truth is made. But the critical point is that it has a very weak premise without substantive proof to back the posting. Once this is done, then the alternative fake accounts, a very strong position in your favor, is slowly introduced over the life of the posting. It is imperative that both sides are intentionally presented so the uninformed reader cannot determine which side is the truth. As posting the replies are made, the stronger evidence or disinformation in your favor is slowly seeded in. Thus, the uninformed reader will most likely develop the same position as you. And if their position is against you, their opposition to your posting will be most likely dropped. However, in some cases where the forum members are highly educated and can counter your disinformation with real facts and linked posting, you can then abort the consensus cracking by initiating a forum slide. Very interesting. Very interesting, guys. Consensus cracking. I might do a little footnote at the end of each chapter. This reminds me of the whole Q and anti-Q debates on 4chan. Very much so. Topic dilution. Topic dilution is not only effective in forum sliding, it is also very useful in keeping the forum readers on unrelated and non-productive issues. This is a critical and useful technique to cause a resource burn. By implementing continual and non-related postings that distract and disrupt trolling, the forum readers, they are more effectively stopped from anything of a real productivity. If the intensity of gradual dilution is intense enough, the readers will effectively stop researching and simply slip into a gossip mode. In this state, they can be more easily misdirected away from facts towards uninformed conjecture and opinion. The less informed they are, the more effective and easy it becomes to control the entire group in the direction that you would desire the group to go in. It must be stressed that a proper assessment of the psychological capabilities and levels of education is first determined of the group to determine of what level to drive the wedge. By being too far off topic too quickly, it may trigger censorship by a forum moderator. Is coffee good for you? Very, very good, yes. Let's keep going. Ready? And then in between the chapters, I'll read what you guys are saying and give you my opinion. on different things. Technique 4, information collection. Information collection is also a very effective method to determine the psychological level of the forum members and to gather intelligence that can be used against them. In this technique, in a light and positive environment, a show you mine, show me yours posting is initiated. From the number of replies and the answers that are provided, much statistical information can be gathered. An example is to post your favorite weapon and then encourage other members of the forum to showcase what they have. In this matter, it can be determined by reverse proration. What percentage of the forum community owns a firearm, or is it an illegal weapon? This same method can be used by posing as one of the forum members and posting your favorite technique of operation. From the replies, various methods that the group utilizes can be studied and effective methods developed to stop them from their activities. Very interesting. Anger trolling, technique number 5. Statistically, there is always a percentage of the forum posters who are more inclined to violence. In order to determine who these individuals are, it is a requirement to present an image to the forum to deliberately incite a strong psychological reaction. From this, the most violent in the group can be effectively singled out for reverse IP location and possibly local enforcement tracking. To accomplish this only requires posting a link to a video depicting a local police officer massively abusing his power against a very innocent individual. Statistically, of the million or so police officers in America, there is always one or two being caught abusing their powers, and the taping of the activity can be then used for intelligence gathering purposes. Without the requirement to stage a fake abuse video, this method is extremely effective, and the more so, the more abusive the video can be made to look. Sometimes it is useful to lead the forum by replying to your own posting with your own statement of violent intent, aka what CHN calls a Fed post. And then you do not care what the authorities think, quote unquote, inflammation. By doing this and showing no fear, it may be more effective in getting the more silent and self-disciplined violent intent members of the forum to slip and post their real intentions. This can be used later in a court of law during prosecution. Technique number 6. Thank you, Chad Chaddington. Gaining full control. This is what happened in my old Twitter group with all the literal feds and agents. It is important to also be harvesting and continually maneuvering for a forum moderator position. Once this position is obtained, the forum can then be effectively and quietly controlled by deleting unfavorable postings, and one can eventually steer the forum into complete failure and lack of interest by the general public. This is the ultimate victory, as the forum is no longer participated with by the general public and no longer useful in maintaining their freedoms. Depending on the level of control you can obtain, you can deliberately steer a forum into defeat by censoring postings, deleting memberships, flooding, and or accidentally taking the forum offline. By this method, the forum can be quickly killed. However, it is not always in the interest to kill a forum, as it can be converted into a honeypot, gathering center to collect and misdirect newcomers, and from this point be completely used for your control or your agenda. See what you guys are saying. So these are real techniques that are thought out and literally think tanked, playbook, strategized. Here's the conclusion. Remember, these techniques are only effective if the forum participants do not know about them. Once they are aware of these techniques, the operation can completely fail, and the forum can be uncontrolled. At this point, other avenues must be considered, such as initiating a false legal precedence to simply have the forum shut down and taken offline. This is not desirable, as it then leaves the enforcement agencies unable to track the percentage of those in the population who always resist attempts for control against them. Many other techniques can be utilized and developed by the individual as you develop further techniques of infiltration and control. It is imperative to share them with HQ. And that's the end of chapter 1. So, we've seen all these in full effect on 4chan, and we've seen it in the e-celeb community. Consensus cracking is huge right now in the Q movement. Remember, they want to crack the consensus that conspiracy theories are bad, that Q is a cult of hopium, and you're not allowed to have hope as a little NPC. And in America, you're not allowed to believe in anything you want to believe in. You know? So, and then they literally, I saw that with that Q movement. Forum sliding we see all the time. Topic dilution is unbelievably happening on 4chan. The anger trolling, the whole Fed posting thing. Pretty interesting, huh? Okay, the next chapter, 25 Rules of Disinformation. Note, the first rule and last 5 or 6, depending on situation, rules are generally not directly within the ability of the traditional disinfo artist to apply. These rules are generally used more directly, but those at the leadership, key players, or planning level of the criminal conspiracy or conspiracy to cover up. Yeah, you guys, Jose Martinez, be my guest to spam this video on all boards. Rule number 1, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Regardless of what you know, don't discuss it, especially if you are a public figure, news anchor, etc. If it's not reported, it didn't happen, and you will never have to deal with the issues. Rule number 2, become incredulous and indignant. Avoid discussing key issues and instead focus on side issues which can be used to show the topic as being critical of some otherwise sacrosanct group or theme. This is also known as "how dare you" gambit. How dare you listen to Q? How dare you vote for Donald Trump? How dare you believe in what you want to believe in America? Go move to Japan like Ryan Dawson. Rule number 3 is create rumor mongers. Avoid discussing issues by describing all charges, regardless of venue or evidence, as mere rumors and wild accusations. Other derogatory terms mutually exclusive of truth may work as well. This method, which works especially well with a silent press, because the only way the public can learn of the facts are through such arguable rumors. If you can associate the material with the internet, use this fact to certify it as a wild rumor from a bunch of kids on the internet, which can have no basis in fact. Rule number 4, use a straw man. Find or create a seeming element of your opponent's argument which you can easily knock down to make yourself look good and the opponent to look bad. Either make up an issue you may safely imply exists based on your interpretation of the opponent's argument/situation, or select the weakest aspect of the weakest charges. Amplify their significance and destroy them in a way which appears to debunk all the charges, real and fabricated alike, which actually avoiding discussion of the real issues, while actually avoiding discussion of the real issues. No, I don't hate Ryan Dawson. I think he's full of himself. What I hate more is people that want to shut down information. And it's like the flavor of the week with Bellagio. If you're an e-celeb out there spewing bullcrap and disinformation and these techniques, then I'm going to call you out. Right now, that happens to be people like Davy Crocco. Oh, whoops. Davy Crocco is on Adam Green. Oh, wow. What a coincidence. And what's their script lately? QAnon. The same thing as Trevor Noah from Comedy Central. There's an ad on YouTube right now. What is QAnon? We have to start adding these things up when Comedy Central is making documentaries about it and all your favorite e-celebs are telling you. I mean, we're here in 2020 getting our news about Jeffrey Epstein and everything from whistleblowers on 4chan. But they want to differentiate, but there's certain conspiracies that are bad. How dare you listen to anything QAnon says? And I just think that's radical. I think you should be able to listen to any information and gather information and use it to better yourselves and local communities. Now, I'm not telling you to stop listening to Ryan Dawson or these other retards I've mentioned, but I'm telling you to identify their disinfo techniques. Let's keep going. Sidetrack opponents with name calling and ridicule. Did I just do that? I just used number 5. This is also known as the prime. No, we're not debating anyone. But if I was debating these guys and I just start throwing ridicule and stuff, we've seen people do this in debates, and the good debaters don't do this. But this is known as primary attack the messenger ploy, though other methods qualify as variants of that approach. Associate opponents with unpopular titles such as kooks, right-wing, liberal, left-wing, terrorists, conspiracy buffs, radicals, militia, racists, religious fanatics, sexual deviants, and so forth. This makes others shrink from support out of fear of gaining the same label, and you avoid dealing with issues. Number 6, hit and run. In any public forum, make a brief attack of your opponent or the opponent's position and then scamper off before an answer can be fielded, or simply ignore any answer. This works extremely well in internet and letters to the editor environments where a steady stream of new identities can be called upon without having to explain criticism's reasonings. Simply make an accusation or other attack, never discussing issues and never answering any subsequent response, for that would dignify the opponent's viewpoint. Number 7, question motives. Twist or amplify any fact which could be taken to imply that the opponent operates out of a hidden personal agenda or other bias. This avoids discussing issues and forces the accuser on the defensive. Number 8, invoke authority. Claim for yourself or associate yourself with authority and present your argument with enough jargon and minutia to illustrate you are one who knows, and simply say it isn't so without discussing the issue or demonstrating concretely why or citing sources. We know who does that. Number 9, play dumb. No matter what evidence or logical argument is offered, avoid discussing issues except with denials they have any credibility. Make any sense, provide any proof, contain or make any point, have logic, or support a conclusion. Mix well for maximum effect. So just play dumb. Avoid discussing any issues brought up, right? Number 9, associate opponent charges with old news, a derivative of a straw man usually. In a large-scale matter of high visibility, someone will make charges early on which can be or were already easily dealt with, a kind of investment for the future should the matter not be so easily contained, where it can be foreseen. Have your own side raise a straw man issue and have it dealt with early on as part of the initial contingency plans. Subsequent charges, regardless of validity or new ground uncovered, can usually be associated with the original charge and dismissed as simply being a rehash without need to address current issues. So much the better where the opponent is or was involved with the original source. Establish and rely upon fallback positions. Use a minor matter or element of the facts. Take the high road and confess with candor that some innocent mistake, in hindsight, was made, but that opponents have seized on the opportunity to blow it all out of proportion and imply greater criminalities, which just isn't so. Others can reinforce this on your behalf later and even publicly call for an end to the nonsense because you have already done the right thing. Done properly, this can garner sympathy and respect for coming clean and owning up to your mistake without addressing more serious issues. Number 12. Enigmas have no solution. Drawing upon the overall umbrella of events surrounding the crime and the multitude of players and events, paint the entire affair as too complex to solve. This causes the otherwise following the matter to begin to lose interest more quickly without having to address the actual issues. Number 13. Alice in Wonderland logic. Avoid discussion of the issues by reasoning backwards or with an apparent deductive logic which forbears any actual material fact. Number 14. Rules of disinformation. Demand complete solutions. Avoid the issues by requiring opponents to solve the crime at hand completely, a ploy which works best with issues qualifying for rule number 10. You know what I mean? You've seen those people on Telegram. Fit the facts to alternate conclusions. This requires creative thinking unless the crime was planned with contingency conclusions in place. Number 16. Vanish evidence and witnesses. If it does not exist, it is not fact and you won't have to address the issue. That is the Clinton rule, number 16. Number 17 is change the subject. Usually in connection with one of the other ploys listed here, find a way to sidetrack the discussion with abrasive or controversial comments in hopes of turning attention to a new, more manageable topic. This works especially well with companions who can argue with you over the new topic and polarize the discussion arena in order to avoid discussing more key issues. Number 18, emotionalize, antagonize, and goad opponents. If you can't do anything else, chide and taunt your opponents and draw them into an emotional response which will tend to make them look foolish and overly motivated, and generally render their material somewhat less coherent. Not only will you avoid discussing the issues in the first instance, but even if their emotional response addresses the issue, you can further avoid the issue by then focusing on how sensitive they are to criticism. That is a nice aspect of the spy. Number 19, ignore proof presented. Demand impossible proofs. This is perhaps a variant of play dumb rule. Regardless of what material may be presented by an opponent in public forums, claim the material irrelevant and demand proof that is impossible for the opponent to come by. It may exist but not be at his disposal, or it may be something which is known to be safely destroyed or withheld, such as a murder weapon. In order to completely avoid discussing issues, it may be required for you to categorically deny and be critical of media or books as valid sources. Deny that witnesses are acceptable, or even deny that statements made by government or other authorities have any meaning or relevance. False evidence. We're going to copy and put the link in the description. Number 20 is false evidence. Okay, link is now in description. Whenever possible, introduce new facts or clues designed and manufactured to conflict with opponent presentations as useful tools to neutralize sensitive issues or impede resolution. This works best when the crime was designed with contingencies for the purpose and the facts cannot be easily separated from the fabrications. Call a grand jury, special prosecutor, or other empowered investigative body. Subvert the process to your benefit and effectively neutralize all sensitive issues without open discussion. Once convened, the evidence and testimony are required to be secret when properly handled. For instance, if you own the prosecuting attorney, it can ensure a grand jury hears no useful evidence and that the evidence is sealed and unavailable to subsequent investigators. Once a favorable verdict is achieved, the matter can be considered officially closed. Usually this technique is applied to find the guilty innocent, but it can also be used to obtain charges when seeking to frame a victim. Number 22, manufacture a new truth. Create your own experts, group, authors, leaders, or influence existing ones willing to forge new ground via scientific, investigative, or social research or testimony which concludes favorably. In this way, if you must actually address the issue, you can do so authoritatively. Number 23, create bigger distractions. If the above does not seem to be working to distract from sensitive issues or to prevent unwanted media coverage of unstoppable events such as trials, create bigger news stories or treat them as such to distract the multitudes. Number 24, silence critics. If the above methods do not prevail, consider removing opponents from circulation by some definitive solution so that the needs to address issues is removed entirely. This can be by their death, arrest, and detention, blackmail, or destruction of their character, by release of blackmail information, or merely by destroying them financially, emotionally, or severely damaging their health. Number 25, vanish. If you are a key holder of secrets or otherwise overly illuminated, and you think the heat is getting too hot, to avoid the issues, vacate the kitchen. Jeffrey Epstein rule, number 25. So these are the 25 rules of disinformation. A lot of these you've heard everywhere. Media, finance, government, a lot of e-celebs now are using a lot of this stuff. Very interesting. Very interesting. I've seen this happen on my old Twitter. I've seen this happen in forums on 4chan. It is unbelievable the level of organization these anti-American, anti-human shills operate. Let's read chapter 3, the 8 traits of the disinformationalist. The 8 traits here. So your favorite buddy that's giving you a thumbs up. Yeah, man. Yeah, we're cool. You've never met me before. You don't know my name, but I'm your best friend on the internet. I'm your best friend on YouTube. I'm your best friend on Telegram. Oh, yeah, we watch Nick Fuentes together. It's so cool. Let's see the 8 traits of these whack jobs, these disinformationalists. Avoidance. They never actually discuss issues head-on or provide constructive input, generally avoiding citation of references or credentials. Rather, they merely imply this, that, and the other. Virtually everything about their presentation applies their authority and expert knowledge in the matter without any further justification for credibility. Selectivity. They tend to pick and choose opponents carefully, either applying the hit-and-run approach against mere commentators, supportive of opponents, or focusing heavier attacks on key opponents who are known to directly address issues. Should a commentator become argumentative with any success, the focus will shift to include the commentator as well. Coincidental. They tend to surface suddenly and somewhat coincidentally, with a new controversial topic with no clear prior record of participation in general discussion in the particular public arena involved. They likewise tend to vanish once the topic is no longer of general concern. They were likely directed or elected to be there for a reason and vanish with the reason. Teamwork. They tend to operate in self-congratulatory and complementary packs or teams. I've seen this. Of course, this can happen naturally in any public forum, but there will likely be an ongoing pattern of frequent exchanges of this sort where professionals are involved. Sometimes one of the players will infiltrate the opponent camp to become a source for strawman or other tactics designed to dilute opponent presentation strength. Anti-conspiratorial. They almost always have disdain for conspiracy theorists, and usually for those who in any way believe JFK was not killed by Lee Harvey Oswald. Ask yourself why. If they hold such disdain for conspiracy theorists, do they focus on defending a single topic discussed in a NG focusing on conspiracies? One might think they would either be trying to make fools of everyone on every topic or simply ignore the group they hold in such disdain. Or one might more rightly conclude they have an ulterior motive for their actions in going out of their way to focus as they do, right? Unbelievable. Artificial emotions. Yep. An odd kind of artificial emotionalism and is usually thick-skinned, an unusually thick-skinned. An ability to persevere and persist even in the face of overwhelming criticism and unacceptance. This likely stems from intelligence community training that, no matter how condemning the evidence, deny everything and never become emotionally involved or reactive. The net result for a disinfo artist is that emotions can seem artificial. Most people, if responding in anger, for instance, will express their animosity throughout their rebuttal, but disinfo types usually have trouble maintaining the image, optics, and are hot and cold with respect to pretend emotions, and they're usually more calm or unemotional communication style. It's just a job, and they often seem unable to act their role in character, as well as in communication mediums, as they might be able in real face-to-face confrontation. You might have outright rage and indignation one moment, ho-hum the next, and more anger later, an emotional yo-yo. With respect to being thick-skinned, no amount of criticism will deter them from doing their job. They will generally continue their old disinfo patterns without any adjustments to criticisms and how obvious it is that they play that game. Where a more rational individual who truly cares what others think might seek to improve their communication styles, substance, and so forth, or simply give up. Trait number 7 of a disinformationalist. Inconsistent. There is also a tendency to make mistakes which portray their true self motives. They may stem from not really knowing their topic, or it may be somewhat Freudian, so to speak, in that perhaps they really root for the side of truth deep within. I have noted that often they will simply cite contradictory information which neutralizes itself and the author. For instance, one such player claimed to be a Navy pilot. We get them all the time in our chat. But blamed his poor communicating skills, spelling, grammar, incoherent style on having only a grade school education. Contradictory. I'm not aware of too many Navy pilots who don't have a college degree. Another claimed no knowledge of a particular topic situation, but later claimed first-hand knowledge of it. I saw so many of these horrible pencil-pushing, low-class agents in my old Twitter. You've seen them disappear on our YouTube channel. You know? These whack jobs. Literal people that repost on Twitter tranny porn accounts. That's another textbook sign of an agent. We're going to make that rule number 9. They're sexual deviants and known by their symbols. And we're going to do a complete gutting. Anyone that's been quiet in our Discord is getting kicked as of today. Any weirdos, you're getting kicked. And that's why we got people that come in randomly get scrutinized the hardest. We have to know, you know. Do you vouch for them? And if you vouch for them and they have, you brought them from your favorite Telegram group and they end up being a shill or a fed, there's going to be some consequences like the mafia. We have to respect this thing of ours and keep the shills out, keep the commies out, keep the feds out. Not because it's cool and we have internet friends and we give each other black emote hand signs. It's fun. Like W45P. Oh, it's so cute. It's so Blimp Imperial on Twitter. He's so cute, that federal agent. But he's so exposed after reading from their playbook. Time constant. Recently discovered with respects to news groups in the response time factor, there are 3 ways this can be seen to work, especially when the government or other empowered player is involved in a cover-up operation. Any NG posting by a targeted proponent for truth can result in an immediate response. The government and other empowered players can, like you see those shills on 4chan that post right away. Okay, the government can afford to pay people to sit there and watch for an opportunity to do some damage. Since disinfo in an NG only works if the reader sees it, fast response is called for, or the visitor may be swayed towards truth. They have to have the shills responding right away. When dealing in more direct ways with a disinformation list, such as email, delay is called for. There will usually be a minimum of a 48 to 72 hour delay. This allows a sit-down team discussion or response strategy for best effect, and even enough time to get permission or instructions from a formal chain of command. In an NG example 1 above, it will often also be seen that bigger guns are drawn and fired after the same 48 to 72 hours. The team approach in play. This is especially true when the targeted truth seeker or their comments are considered more important with respect to potential to reveal truth. Thus, a serious truth sayer will be attacked twice for the same sin. So that is the 8 traits of a disinformationalist. Unbelievable. That is good. Okay. Let's continue. 2 more chapters. How to spot a spy, COINTELPRO agent. One way to neutralize a potential activist is to get them to be in a group that does all the wrong things. Why? Yeah, join this, join that. Talk about this, talk about that. Don't talk about Q. Don't talk about pizza. Don't expose Jeffrey Epstein. That's tinfoil. The message doesn't get out. 1. A lot of time is wasted. 2. 3. The activist is frustrated and discouraged. 4. Nothing good is accomplished. FBI and police informers and infiltrators will infest any group, and they have phony activist organizations established. Their purpose is to prevent any real movement for justice or eco-peace from developing in this country. Agents come in small, medium, or large. They can be any ethnic background. They could be male or female. The actual size of the group or movement being infiltrated is irrelevant. It is the potential the movement has for becoming large, which brings on the spies and saboteurs. Oh, think about my first channel that was taken down rapidly. with 9,000 subscribers. This booklet lists tactics agents use to slow things down, foul things up, destroy the movement, and keep tabs on activists. It is the agent's job to keep the activist from quitting such a group, thus keeping him under their control. Bellagio, come back to Twitter. Bellagio, come back to our Twitter group. Where are you going? We've just berated every information and video you've done in the past 6 months, and we're berating every Q boomer out there because it's cool on the schoolyard. And we're berating all information that we're discouraging Trump, discouraging the Anons. But come back, Bellagio, please. And then Meow Meow disappears, changes his name, goes dark. Very odd, very odd. Where are you, Meow Meow? Where are you hiding? Huh? Where are you hiding, little Meow Meow? Oh, very odd, very, very, very weird. This booklet lists, this booklet lists tactics used. In some situations to get control, the agent will tell the activist, you're dividing the movement. You are dividing the movement. Here I added the psychological reasons as to why this maneuver works to control people. This invites guilty feelings. Many people can be controlled by guilt. The agents begin relationships with activists behind a well-developed mask of dedication to the cause because of their often declared dedication and actions designed to prove this. When they criticize the activist, he or she, being truly dedicated to the movement, becomes convinced that somehow any issues are their fault. This is because a truly dedicated person tends to believe that everyone has a conscience and that nobody would dissimulate and lie like that on purpose. It's amazing how far agents can go in manipulating an activist because the activist will constantly make excuses for the agent who regularly declares their dedication to the cause. Even if they do occasionally suspect the agent, they will pull the wool over their own eyes by rationalizing. They did that unconsciously. They didn't really mean it. I can help them by being forgiving and accepting, and so on and so forth. The agent will tell the activist, you're the leader. This is designed to enhance the activist's self-esteem, his or her narcissistic admiration of his or own activism, altruism, intentions, increased as he or she identifies with the consciously admires the altruistic declarations of the agent, which are deliberately set up to mirror those of the activist. This is malignant pseudo-identification. It is the process by which the agent consciously imitates or simulates a certain behavior to foster the activist's identification with him or her, thus increasing the activist's vulnerability to exploitation. The agent will simulate the more subtle self-concepts of the activist. Activists and those who have altruistic self-concepts are more vulnerable to malignant pseudo-identification, especially during work with the agent when the interaction includes matter relating to their competency, autonomy, or knowledge. The goal of the agent is to increase the activist's general empathy for the agent through pseudo-identification with the activist's self-concepts. The most common example of this is the agent who will compliment the activist for his competency or knowledge or value to the movement. On a more subtle level, the agent will simulate effects and mannerisms of the activist, which promotes identification via mirroring and feelings of twinship. It is not unheard of for activists enamored by the perceived helpfulness and competence of a good agent to find themselves considered ethical violations and perhaps even illegal behavior in the service of their agent handler. The activist felt quality of perfection, self-concept is enhanced, and the strong empathic bond is developed with the agent through his or her imitation and simulation of the victim's own narcissistic investments. Self-concepts, that is. If the activist knows deep inside their own dedication to the cause, they will project that onto the agent who is mirroring them. The activist will be deluded into thinking that the agent shares this feelings of identification and bonding. In an activist social movement setting, the adversarial's role that activists naturally play vis-a-vis the establishment government fosters ongoing process of intrapsychic splitting, so that twinship alliances between activists and agents may render whole sectors or reality testing unavailable to the activist. They literally lose touch with reality. Activists who deny their own narcissistic... Yeah, if you're feeling demoralized lately, you better check everyone in your groups. Find out which one is making you feel that way. Activists who deny their own narcissistic investments do not have a good idea of their own self-concepts and that they are concepts, are consciously perceive themselves accurately, as it were, to be helpers, endowed with a special amount of altruism, and exceedingly vulnerable to the effective emotional simulation of the accomplished agent. Empathy is fostered in the activist through the expression of quite visible effects. The presentation of tearfulness, sadness, longing, fear, remorse, and guilt may induce in the helper-oriented activist a strong sense of compassion, while unconsciously enhancing the activist's narcissistic investment in self as the embodiment of goodness. The agent's expression of such simulated effects may be quite compelling to the observer and difficult to distinguish from deep emotion. It can usually be identified by two events, however. First, the activist who has analyzed his/her own narcissistic roots and is aware of his or her own potential for being emotionally hooked will be able to remain cool and unaffected by such emotional outpourings by the agent. As a result of this unaffected, cool attitude, and the second event will occur. The agent will recompensate much too quickly following such an effective expression, leaving the activist with the impression that the play has ended, the curtain has fallen, and the imposter for the moment has finished. The agent will then move quickly to another activist/victim. The fact is, the movement doesn't need leaders, it needs movers. Follow the leader is a waste of time. A good agent will want to meet as often as possible. He or she will talk a lot and say a little. I've seen that all the time. One can expect an onslaught of long, unresolved discussion. Some agents take on a pushy, arrogant, or defensive manner. To disrupt the agenda, 1. 2. To sidetrack the discussion. 3. To interpret repeatedly. 4. To feign ignorance. 5. To make an unfounded accusation against a person. Calling someone a racist, for example. This tactic is used to discredit a person in the eyes of all other groups. Saboteurs. Some saboteurs pretend to be activists. She or he will 1. Write encyclopedic flyers in the present-day websites. 2. Print flyers in English only. 3. Have demonstrations in places where no one cares. 4. Solicit funding from rich people instead of grassroots support. 5. Display banners with too many words that are confusing. 6. Confuse issues. 7. Make the wrong demands. 8. Compromise the goal. 9. Have endless discussion that waste everyone's time. The agent may accompany the endless discussion with drinking, pot smoking, or other amusement to slow down the activist's work. Provocateurs want to establish leaders to set them up for a fall in order to stop the movement. 2. Suggest doing foolish, illegal things to get the activist in trouble. Provocateurs 3. Encourage militancy. 4. Want to taunt the authorities. 5. Attempt to make the activists compromise their values. 6. Attempt to instigate violence. Activism ought to always be non-violent. Remember, these are agent provocateurs. 7. Attempt to provoke revolt among people who are ill-prepared to deal with the reaction of the authorities to such violence. Informants want everyone to sign up, sign in, and sign everything. 2. Ask a lot of questions, gathering data mining you. 3. Want to know what events and activism is planning to attend. 4. Attempt to make the activist defend him or herself to identify his or her beliefs, goals, and level of commitment. Recruiting. Legitimate activists do not subject people to hours of persuasive dialogue. Their actions, belief, and goals speak for themselves. Groups that do recruit are missionaries, military, and fake political parties or movements set up by agents. Surveillance. Always assume that you are under surveillance. At this point, if you are not under surveillance, you are not a very good activist. Scare tactics. They use them. Such tactics include slander, defamation, threats, getting close to disaffected or minimally committed fellow activists to persuade them via psychological tactics described above, to turn against the movement and give false testimony against their former compatriots. They will plant illegal substances on the activist and set up an arrest. They will plant false information and set up exposure. They will send incriminating letters, emails in the name of the activist, and more. They will do whatever society will allow. If an agent is exposed, he or she will be transferred or replaced. Okay. Change their name, go underground. COINTELPRO is still in operation today under a different code name. It is no longer placed on paper where it can be discovered through the Freedom of Information Act. COINTELPRO is the old name for this. The FBI counterintelligence program stated its purpose to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, otherwise neutralize individuals who the FBI categorizes as opposed to the national interests. National security means the FBI security from the people ever finding out the vicious things it does in violation of people's civil liberties. And the final chapter, that was a good chapter, guys. A lot of information there, guys. 17 techniques for truth suppression. Strong, credible allegations of high-level criminal activity can bring down a government. When the government lacks an effective, fact-based defense, other techniques must be employed. The success of these techniques depends heavily upon a cooperative, compliant press and a mere token opposition party. Number 1, dummy up. If it's not reported, if it's not news, it didn't happen. Wax indignant. This is also known as how dare you gambit. How dare you accuse Bill Clinton of sticking a cigar in Monica Lewinsky's? How dare you? How dare you? Characterize the charges as rumors, or better yet, wild rumors. Q conspiracy. And now Comedy Central is talking about Q. If in spite the news blackout, the public is still able to learn about the suspicious facts, it can only be through rumors. If they tend to believe the rumors, it must be because they are simply paranoid or hysterical or schizophrenic. Number 4, knock down straw men. Deal only with the weakest aspects of the weakest charges. We've read some, this is like earlier, right? This is kind of like glazing over some of the techniques again. But there's going to be some more stuff in here. Create your own straw men, make up wild rumors, or plant false stories and give them lead play when you appear to debunk all the charges, real or fanciful alike. Call the skeptics names like conspiracy theorists, nutcases, ranter, kook, crackpot, and of course, rumor monger. Be sure too to use heavily loaded verbs and adjectives and cliches when characterizing their charges and defending the more reasonable government and its defenders. You must then carefully avoid fair and open debate with any of the people you have thus maligned. For insurance, set up your own skeptics to shoot down. Impugn motives. Attempt to marginalize the critics by suggesting strongly that they are not really interested in the truth, but are simply pursuing a partisan political agenda or out to make money, compared to other compensated adherents to the government's line who presumably are not. Yeah, no one else wants to make money out there. Invoke authority. Here, the controlled press and the sham opposition can be very useful. 8. Dismiss the charges as old news. 9. Come half clean. This is also known as confession and avoidance, or taking the limited hangout route. This way, you create the impression of candor and honesty while you admit only to relative harmlessness. This stratagem often requires the embrace of a fallback position quite different from the one originally taken. Interesting. Number 10, we've read that up above. 10, characterize the crimes as impossibly complex and the truth as ultimately unknowable. 11, reason backwards. That's the Alice in Wonderland. Using the deductive method with a vengeance. With thoroughly rigorous deduction, troublesome evidence is irrelevant. Example is we have in a completely free press. If evidence exists that Vince Foster's suicide note was forged, they would have reported it. They haven't reported it, so there's no such evidence. Another variation of this involves the likelihood of a conspiracy leaker in the press who would report the leak. Change the subject. This technique includes creating or publicizing distractions. 14, lightly report incriminating facts and then make nothing of them. This is sometimes referred to as bump and run. 15, baldly and brazenly lie. A favorite way of doing this is to attribute the facts furnished the public to the plausible sounding but anonymous sources. 16, expanding further on numbers 4 and 5, have your own stooges expose scandals and champion popular causes. Their job is to preempt real opponents and to play 96-yard football. A variation is to pay rich people for the job who will pretend to spend their own money. That sounds interesting. 17, flood the internet with agents. This is the answer to the question, what could possibly motivate a person to spend hours upon hours on internet news groups defending the government and or the press and harassing genuine critics? Like 4chan chills. Don't the authorities have defenders enough in all the news, magazines, radio, and television? One would think refusing to point critical letters and screening out serious callers or dumping them from radio talk shows would be enough control, but obviously it is not. They have to flood the internet with agents. They have to co-opt movements and use this information, okay, that is from the agents themselves. Use this to identify people in the movement. I've seen various ones of these, various tactics being utilized by people in the truth movement. That whole 99-yard football, that definitely reminds me of Alex Jones. He plays football really good up until the 99th yard. He really gives good information about sovereignty, defending your local communities, forming local communities, buying guns, buying ammo, food, all that from his, but it's always that 99th yard he fumbles. Very interesting, guys. That was the finishing of the audiobook, A Gentleman's Guide to Forum Spies, Spooks, Feds, etc. Completely reminded me of a whole bunch of people that has passed through the doors of this saloon, Central Happenings Network. But the great news is I see a lot more of you that I have known from the very beginning, from the first channel. I see a lot more of you that haven't disappeared. So we are the majority. The agents have flooded the internet, but the good news is you haven't all disappeared or been disappeared. Rule number 25 in the Clintons' book. And these agents play off of your kindness, your emotion, your empathy. Like Ricky Radness here is constantly being stalked by people. And Ricky is too gentle to identify that early and close the doors of oblivion before people flood through. The good news is if you hang around Central Happenings Network, the agents have posted us up on their whiteboards and chalkboards to be aware. These people are highly trained. They know our secrets. He's spilling the beans. He's recording this video. He's uploading it to BitChute, the blockchain on DTube. He's uploading it to Twitch clips. He's uploading it everywhere. This will not go anywhere. Steve Sift in the house. Thank you for this recommendation. This was a great recommendation. I would love to do this again if you have any other amazing works that I've never heard of. See, I just know a lot of this stuff. You know, I just don't have words to put down. And that's why when you said to read this, I thought, I was like, because I have my own notes on this stuff. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I will write the book. But this is already a great piece of information. I linked it in description. Definitely download it yourself after this is uploaded. And you have to be aware of this possibility, okay? When I get donations, it is a humble viewer like you that donates, you know, $10, $5. We have an anonymous guy last time that donated $77.7. Unbelievable. But if you look at my Patreon, we have a very small Patreon. I'm very humble and very thankful to have you guys being my Patreons. But when you are massive like Alex Jones, making hundreds of thousands of dollars, when you're massive like these e-celebs, okay? Adam Green, Ryan Dawson, these people have massive incomes. They do this for what you would think is full time, but this is the Black Project revenue generation. They might have started out as good, but they have been co-opted. Possibly, you have to be open to the possibility that these major people, anyone, Jordan Peterson, Stefan Molyneux, that doesn't mean to just turn them off. That means to watch them more carefully, more scrutiny, okay? If they've been on the same topic for 7 years, something is up. Bellagio Sampler covers every topic out there that is brought up. We don't shy away from stuff. It's not a limited hangout. This is not a limited source of information. Marcus, thank you very much. Very nice statement. And I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum when it comes to these shills, okay? Let's say we identify Adam Green or Ryan Dawson as a COINTELPRO shill. Well, definitely boycott any money you're giving him, but I would like it if you continue to watch him, because we have to see what their script is going to do to manipulate once he's been exposed. Will he disappear? Will he move to Beirut? Who knows? And I'm using him as an example, a cliff note, okay? Not a literal aspect. I don't literally think Ryan Dawson's going to move to Syria with Syria Girl and disappear off the face of the internet. But you have to understand it's possible. Adam and Ryan don't even have a Patreon. They have no way to get them money. They don't make any money at all. They're completely deplatformed. They've lost thousands of subscribers and thousands of videos to YouTube. You're right. Yep. Adam and Ryan are completely innocent. There's no way to get them any money. But we all know in reality who's making vast sums of money, and in the event that they lose their money, who would sell out? Who would sell out first? If everyone thinks that Alex Jones would be the first to sell out, then that's possible. He makes a lot of money, and if they take that money away. But let's take a look over here, okay? Ryan Dawson's last video. I'm going to do this behind the scenes. His last video, okay? And there's no way to get him any money when he's online. No way to donate. There's no super chats. Obviously on YouTube there's not. But over on his website, theancapreport.com, there is a donate button. And You can sign up now and choose a one-time, weekly, monthly, and yearly donation. You could buy products. You could buy shirts. My shirts were begged for by the people. I haven't updated my logos, anything. I'm putting no effort into shirt production because that's not what I'm here for. This is my hobby. If my hobby pays for itself, I'm happy about it. But I'm not making thousands of dollars, thousands of money laundered shekels like these people. Let's check out Adam Green next, since we checked out Ryan Dawson. And I will show it on the screen for those that won't go. Look, sign up now, donation frequency, months, years, one time, yada, yada. No, it's not possible, Bellagio. Bellagio, he's my favorite celeb. He's broke, he's destitute. He lives in the most expensive country on earth. He can't be possible. It's not possible, Bellagio. Adam Greenstein, let's take a look at this guy. How can we get money to you, Adam Green? No more news. 133,000 subscribers, never censored, never lost his channel, never lost thousands of subscribers, thousands. Okay, no. Oh, he has a Patreon. Adam Green has a Patreon. When we click there, he has 377 Patreons. And I know you were being funny. Look at this, 377 Patreons. His Patreon money is hidden. Bellagio Sampler's Patreon, you know exactly what he's making. From my 8 or 7 Patreons, I make $42 a month. $45 a month. This guy hides it. So who's straw manning, huh? Really? Maybe you should make your own channel and suck Ryan Dawson's cock on it live all day. Wouldn't that be great? Just blow him all day. And you could defend the fact that Adam Green doesn't have a Patreon. Adam Green doesn't have doesn't have any way to get Adam Green money. There's no way to do it. It's impossible. I'm wrong. I'm lying. Do you all see this? Everybody point and laugh at the shill. Point and laugh. 2 ways to donate to these guys. 377 Patreons. And you can either be a $1, a $10, or a $25. You do the math. You do the multiplication for Adam Greenstein. Unbelievable. Is he gonna talk, or he's not? He's not gonna even talk now, because that's a straw man. Because I back my shit up with evidence, unlike you. $377. And then now they're going to shift it to an emotional attack. We've just read their playbook. You're just jealous. It went from them not having. Let me just tell you the playbook. It goes from them not having any means to donate, and now it's a straw man, to now it's going to be you're just jealous. You're just jealous, Bellagio, that you were censored for being real, and you lost 10,000 subscribers, and you lost, all that. Your hobby really paying for itself. But it's fine. Could be 8K a month. Where'd he go? Where'd Robert Palmer go? Wait, don't run. Don't run. But hit that thumbs down button, please. Please add interaction to the video because you think the thumbs down button's bad. Click the thumbs down button before you go, Robbie boy. And then go tell me how the best Adam Green and freaking Japanese Ryan stream goes. They're talking about the same shit for 7 years. Let me know how that goes for you and the little shill group Telegram you got going. Adeptus Astartes just watched Bill and Ted Face the Music. Where can I watch that? Is it on Netflix? Good movie. No, well, I want to watch it big time. Yeah, at the end of the movie. Well, I thought they were exposing Saturn with that shot at the end. He completely ran away, little Robert, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. This is real news, real information by a real person with a soul who believes in the real God. And I'm going to really make fun of you atheists until you go home, cry in a river, calling me a straw man, calling me I've heard it all before. You shills don't have any power here. I threw you all out. Do you understand? I threw out moderators. I exposed Meow Meow, who had to go on the run and change his name, go underground. We exposed WASP, W45P, the tranny reposter on Twitter for being a federal agent. We read their playbook today. You think I'm really scared of you people? You don't terrify me. I laugh at you. You are beneath me. Better than this? Better than what? Calling you out for bullshit? No, I'm not better than that. I'm a man with balls. Grow the fuck up. You want to talk about Adam Green and suck his cock? Go suck his cock. It's accepted now. It's 2020. Cocksucking's in, right? Go have fun. And for the rest of you, enjoy the show. Enjoy the fact these shills make $9,000 a month. Laura Loomer makes $50,000 a month. Adam Green, $10,000 a month. Ryan Dawson, $10,000 a month. While you sit there in squalor, while you sit there waiting for Trump bucks. You don't even own a house. You don't even own a car. Pathetic. And then you worship these people like simps. Grow up. E-celebs are not there for you. Grow up. I just exposed them. Reread the fucking book. Co-Intel Pro. I supported you for so long, but then I lied and said Adam Green doesn't make money. Adam Green doesn't make money, and you're straw manning. Oh, I didn't think you'd call me out. No, you fucked up. Now deal with it.